Welcome to this edition of Pacific Magazine. I'm Tech Sergeant Michael Jackson. General Carlisle took command of U.S. Pacific Air Forces on August 3, 2012. He leads PACAF at a time when its airmen are facing a variety of challenges: the rebalancing of U.S. forces toward the Asia-Pacific region and the drawdown of forces from Afghanistan, new partnerships in the Pacific and military exercises with those countries. And there are budgetary issues like sequestration that are affecting the entire military. In this edition, we'll hear what General Carlisle had to say about these and other topics during an interview with AFN Pacific. Good morning, sir. How are you doing?
I'm doing very good. How about yourself?
Pretty good, pretty good. My first question for you is, how will the Pacific rebalancing affect PACAF's missions?
We bring prompt and sustained air power to the Pacific, and that's aerospace, cyberspace, battlefield airmen across the board. And what the rebalance does is really give us a chance to highlight what air power does for this AOR. It's a huge place. We use the term Hollywood to Bollywood and penguins to polar bears, but it's gigantic, and speed, range, and flexibility of air power, whether it's space, cyberspace, battlefield airmen, or air power, in the context of vigilance, reach, and power, the rebalance really highlights what that does. Now, our ability to execute that across the Pacific is paramount to success for the nation and PACOM. So the rebalance just gives us more of a highlight of that, and clearly one of the challenges is, in a fiscally austere time, how do we do that to the best of our ability? So I think the rebalance of the Pacific really talks about what the nation needs to do in the Asia-Pacific region, and air power is part of that, and what we can do in support of the nation and PACOM.
The Pacific's population is growing rapidly, and as it does so, it faces threats like natural disasters, as well as transnational problems like piracy, terrorism, criminal organizations, and human trafficking. In a hearing before the Senate Armed Services Committee, the commander of U.S. Pacific Command, Admiral Samuel Locklear, also identified some of the region's security concerns.
We will also no doubt see historic and emerging border and territorial disputes continue as the competition for water, food, and energy grow. And we expect that access and freedom of action in the shared domains of sea, airspace, and cyber will become increasingly challenged.
What would you say PACAF's role is in addressing some of the threats that this region is currently facing?
Well, again, I think it kind of goes back to, we provide prompt and sustained air power on a volume and a scale, whether it's intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, or it's rapid global mobility. We have the ability to put either people, cargo, surveillance, reconnaissance, or power anywhere in the world in a matter of hours. And certainly in this theater, just given the vast distances, that's a big part of it. So, across the board, our contribution to the joint fight is highlighted really by the challenges that we face in this area of responsibility. So we clearly are part of the joint team. We're a tremendous part of the joint team, and what we do for PACOM and the nation is provide that global vigilance, reach, and power in the Pacific theater.
Cuts to defense in fiscal years 2013 and 2014 will reduce the PACAF operation and maintenance budget, which will impact flying hours, training opportunities, and exercise participation. Now, sir, you had mentioned fiscal austerity a little bit ago. How will budget issues be affecting the PACAF mission?
Well, it's a huge challenge, and at the end of the day, we're going to do less with less. And I think that's we've all the efficiencies. There's things on the edges that we can get better at, but we've taken efficiencies, and it's just a fact. We can't, as we lose money, manpower, and time, and we're short on all three. We can't ask our airmen to do more. So we're going to have to do less with less. And the Chief and Secretary have said that, and I've said it, and it's true. I will tell you, part of that is the fact that the folks out there in the shops and the flight lines and the back shops and the offices, they're the ones that probably have the best idea of what's most important to make sure they meet their mission. So I'm really looking for my airmen in the Pacific to help me figure out what we're going to do less, because we in fact are going to do less with less.
In his 2013 State of the Union address, President Barack Obama announced the next steps for ending the U.S. combat mission in Afghanistan.
Over the next year, another 34,000 American troops will come home from Afghanistan. This drawdown will continue, and by the end of next year, our war in Afghanistan will be over.
The Afghanistan drawdown is expected to come up. What role do you think PACAF is going to be playing in that?
The rebalance or the focus on the Pacific means that we have to either make sure our folks are back and trained and ready to go for what they need to do in this theater as well as what they're going to do in Afghanistan. I'm hoping that as that force gets smaller in Afghanistan and the rebalance and pivot to the Pacific takes even more hold, that we'll send our folks here throughout this theater more so. But in the interim, until the Afghanistan drawdown is done, our folks will continue to support that as they always have.
The PACAF mission leverages the total force with Air Force Reserve and Air National Guard C-17, KC-135, and F-22 assets, as well as support missions integrated with active duty airmen. Speaking with a lot about those budget issues and about the rebalancing and everything else, is combining the active duty and reserve mission with total force integration, is that still a priority for PACAF?
Oh, it is. I mean, probably even more so. The fact is that we have less resources, so whatever resources we have to take maximum advantage of. And clearly, our total force airmen, our civilians, our Guard, our reserve, and our active duty are all key components of our Air Force, and it's certainly a key component of the Pacific Air Forces. And our total force airmen across the board bring amazing talent. So what we have to do is make sure we get the most use out of that talent. So how we organize our total force integration, how we organize our units to get the most benefit of the attributes that all the different components, the Guard, the Reserve, the actives, and civilians bring, and make sure we get that right. What we do with our total force integration and what the different components bring to the fight make us just so much stronger as an Air Force.
The Air Force is the federal government's largest consumer of energy, and Secretary of the Air Force Michael Donnelly says that reducing reliance on vulnerable sources of energy is key to our security. By 2025, the Air Force goal is to increase renewable energy use by 25%. And how do you envision PACAF supporting energy conservation and things like Going Green initiatives?
We've developed synthetic fuels for our airplanes. We're good stewards of the environment and where we live. We have to continue to do that and get better at it. We have to take advantage of alternate energy sources. We have to be energy conscious within our work facilities where we live. Obviously, we're big consumers, so we got to be smart about it. We got to do it right. I think alternate energy sources, we have a lot of incredibly intelligent folks that are out there working on this, trying to find better ways to do things. Again, I think it's all about being good stewards of what we have and trying to move us into the future for new ways, whether it's synthetic fuels, it's alternate, it's wind energy, it's sun energy. As we well know, the Air Force has invested heavily in that. The largest solar array, I think, anywhere as far as I know, is in right outside of Nellis Air Force Base in support of them. We have, if you just drive on base here and you look at the new housing, you see the solar panels on our houses. But I think it's every airman and their family's responsibility to be good stewards and conserve and do things to aid the environment in any and every way they can.
The U.S. has treaty alliances with Japan, South Korea, Australia, Thailand, and the Philippines, and is strengthening military ties with nations like India, Singapore, and Indonesia. The U.S. Pacific Command conducts 172 exercises in 34 countries. And my last question for you, sir, is there's a lot of exercises that go on here in the Pacific region and Pacific Command, multilateral, bilateral. What role do those play in PACAF's changing strategy?
Well, it's incredibly important, and if you know, one of our primary tenets of our new strategy is expanded engagement. We have great friends and partners. We're building new ones every day. And it's really about getting out and raising the capability for all the other nations that are our friends and partners in the region. It's making their capability better. It's making our interoperability so we can operate better together. It builds relationships, it builds trust, it builds transparency. It does all those things and allow us to take advantage of the relationships we have in this theater. So expanded engagement is a key component. Again, we're gaining new friends and partners all the time, and we're raising their capability, and we're building their confidence, we're building their trust in each other. And so the expanded engagement is incredibly important to how we move forward in the Pacific.
General Carlisle also thanked PACAF's 43,000 airmen and their families for their dedication to the mission.
Well, to all our airmen out there, folks, I got to tell you, thank you for what you do day in and day out and stepping up and serving our nation in support of your Air Force and certainly in support of this theater. Clearly, our asymmetric advantage in everything we do is our airmen. Every time you go out, you impress the folks you work with. Your level of integrity, service, and excellence is something that is second to none. My job in life is to make sure you and your families are taken care of, and I have to tell you, I am amazed and dazzled by what you do every day. Thank you.
PACAF's area of responsibility covers nearly half the Earth's surface and includes more than half of the world's population. 7 of the world's 10 largest standing armies are in this region, as are 5 of the world's declared nuclear states. But this region is also crucial to global trade. 2 of the world's 3 largest economies border Pacific waters, as do 9 of the world's 10 largest ports. By any standard, this is a region that's crucial to U.S. security and prosperity. PACAF will continue to play a vital role in America's Asia-Pacific strategy in the years to come. But as General Carlisle said, PACAF is defined first and foremost by the quality of its airmen and their families. They remain the key to confronting all of these challenges. From all of us here at AFN, thanks for watching this edition of Pacific Magazine. I'm Tech Sergeant Michael Jackson.